Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Vibe Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. In this video, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful Agbada kaftan with a built-up V plunge neckline, and I beaded the down part of the neckline. That's at the deepest part of the plunge. I beaded it at this part, you can see, and it is adding beauty to it. And we also have pleats on our shoulders, which is giving us the Agbada effect. So it has pleats on the shoulder. That's what is giving the Agbada effect. This project is a very simple one and it is beginner friendly. I hope this is something you are interested in learning. Kindly stay tuned while we get right into the video. And please do not forget to subscribe and make sure to put on your notification bell so you get notified once I post a new video. Thank you. I'll be making use of this black lace fabric for this project, and I have 3.5 yards of this lace. The length of this lace is 50 inches. I'm going to use the length of the lace to achieve the width of this bubu we are making. So having folded 50 into 2, that will give me 25 inches. So you can see that the both scalloped part of the lace will be facing each other here. So now I have the width of our kaftan. So now to achieve the length of the kaftan, I'm just going to go ahead and fold now into 4. So now we're folding vertically to achieve the length of the kaftan. As you can see, I've folded into 4, and now I have the shoulder line, and then I have the front and the back, and then the part with the scallop is going to serve as the side. So to achieve the length, this is what I did. My client's length is 58 inches. I added 2 inches to that measurement. That's for hemming allowance. And then I have 60. I'm going to add 3 inches to that measurement. This 3 inches is for me to achieve the built up neckline. So basically the length I'm looking for here is going to be 63 inches. 58 plus 2, that's 60, plus 3 inches to achieve our built up neckline. So now the first thing I'm going to do, from the shoulder line, I'll come down by 2.5 inches. This depends on how high you want the built up neckline or the built up collar to be. So I came down by 2.5 inches, and you can see I've straightened out my line. So from where I have my mark, that's where all the measurements will start. So now to achieve the width of this kaftan, all I need to do now is to divide her hip measurement. First, I'm going to add 2 inches to her hip measurement for ease, and her hip is 42 inches. So 42 plus 2, that will give me 44 inches. So I'm going to divide 44 by 4, that will give me 11 inches. And to that 11 inches, I'm going to add 8 inches. This 8 inches is for the pleats that we're going to have on the shoulder. So basically, I'm going to be marking on 19 inches, which is 11 plus 8. So I'm going to mark this 19 inches all the way down. For this kaftan, you do not need your bust measurement, you don't need your waist measurement. All you need is the hip measurement. If the hip is the biggest circumference you are using. So if the bust of whoever you are making this is the biggest, please use the bust measurement. I'm using the hip measurement because the hip is the biggest measurement I'm working with. I hope you understand that. So I'm just going to go ahead and straighten my line. After straightening out my line, the next thing we're going to do now is to mark the sleeve. So from this line here, I'm going to come down from the shoulder measurement and mark her bust point. So from shoulder to bust point of my client is 11 inches. I'm using the bust point because this is a bubu. We don't want it to be fitted at all. So you don't want the sleeve area to hold you at the armpit at all. So you just want to mark on the bust point line. So the bust point line of my client is 11 inches, and you can see I've marked on the bust point. So at the outer part, which is the scallop part of the lace, I'm going to enter her armhole measurement. I didn't say her upper arm. I'm entering the armhole measurement, and the armhole measurement of my client is 8.5. So this is so that the sleeve can be as free as possible. So that is why I'm using an armhole measurement at the sleeve opening. I'm just going to go ahead and connect it like this. Can you see? You just want to blend in this line into the straight line you have here. So now we're done with the sleeve. So the next thing now we're going to do is to go to the neckline. So you can see that my sleeve is quite short. It's just 6 inches in length. That's what the lace can give me. So if you are working with a fabric that is 60 inches in length, you may have something more than what I have here. But this is just fine for us. So before we go to the neckline area, I'm going to go ahead and add half-inch seam allowance here at the side. You can add up to 1, but in this case, I'm adding just half-inch. So I'm going to do that all the way down to the hem, and then we'll come to the neckline to achieve our built-up neckline. Okay, for the neckline, I'm marking a neck width of 3 inches on the shoulder line. A neck width of 3 inches, and then next I'm going to come down with a neck depth of 1 inch. The 1 inch is for the back neckline, so you can see I'm going ahead to curve it out. You see? So next I'm going to mark the neck depth of 3 inches for the front, and then I'm just going to go ahead and curve it this way. So I use the neck depth of 1 inch for the back and 3 inches for the front. Having done that, at the neck width here, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches from the shoulder line. So I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. And then I'll also come to the center front and repeat the same thing. This is for me to have a straight line. So I'm just going to use my straight ruler to connect it just like this. Okay. So next I'm just going to take the neck width I have here, which is 3 inches, up straight like this. Having done that, the next thing I'm going to do now, at this point I'm touching, this is so that the neckline will not gape. Remember, we're trying to achieve a built-up collar effect, so you don't want the neckline to gape. So at this point, I'm going to go in by half inch. So now this has reduced the neck width to 2.5 inches instead of 3 inches as it is. So I'm going to slant it like this to meet the neck width here on the shoulder line. So I'm going to now go ahead and erase this neck width here so that we don't get confused by that. So right now at the upper part, we have a neck width of 2.5 inches. As you can see, I've erased the other line. So now the neck width at the upper part is 2.5 inches. So to mark the back neck depth, so from the 1.5 inches I went up, I'm coming down by half inch. So you can see that the neckline has now gone higher. So I'm coming down by half inch, and then I'm just going to curve it this way. So we now have our back neckline, and we're using a neck depth of half inch. So can you see? So next I'm going to blend it into the shoulder line. So at this sharp point here, at this corner here, I'm going to come out by 1/4 of an inch so that I can blend the line into the shoulder line. So you can see how I'm blending it. Is really simple. Just watch carefully, you will understand. So that's it. So the neck depth is half inch, and then you can see how it blends into the shoulder line. So next we're going to mark the front neckline. So from the center front here, I'm going to come in by half of an inch. You see, I'm going to come in by half of an inch. Remember, we're making a deep V plunge neckline. So I'm coming in by half of an inch. So from the actual neck depth of 3 inches, remember I used the neck depth for the front of 3 inches, I'm going to come down by 5 inches. So that's making it a total of 8 inches from the shoulder line. So this actually depends on how deep you want your neckline to be. Remember, I beaded my own neckline. So you don't want to make it too deep if you're not going to bead it, okay? So I'm marking it now. So I'm connecting the half inch to the 8 inches, that's to the depth of the neckline I have there. So this is what our front neckline looks like, and this is what our back neckline looks like. So basically the front neckline, all I did was to just come in by half inch from the center front. So next I'm going to go ahead and add half inch to the shoulder line. This is for joining the shoulders of both front and back. So right now we are done with our drafting. So I'll bring in my scissors and cut the shoulder line. That I'll be cutting on my half inch seam allowance that I added. So for the records, I went up by 1.5 inches from the shoulder line because this is how high I want the built up neckline to be. So which is optional. If you want your neckline to be higher than that 1.5 inches, please feel free to increase it. But I think the max you can use is 2.5 so that it's not too high and begins to choke the person. So 1.5 to 2.5 is just very fine. Okay, so I'm going ahead to cut the back neckline now, and see I'm just following the half inch curve. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to try to separate the front from the back so that you don't mistakenly cut the both of them. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the V plunge neckline of the front. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. So now we have our front neckline, and that's it. You can see what the front neckline looks like. And then I'll go ahead to cut the sides. So I'm going to cut at that. I'm going to be cutting on the half inch sewing allowance I added here at the side. So I'll go ahead and cut out the sides and show us the next thing to do. As you can see, I'm done cutting the front and the back. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to cut the facing. And I'm going to be making use of my doll face bridal satin as the facing. This is to actually help the neckline stand well. I'm going to be ironing my haystay to this doll face bridal satin. This will actually give it structure. So I'm just going to trace out the neckline, and then from the shoulder line here, that's from the shoulder tip here, I'm marking 5 inches. So this is how wide I want the facing to be. You don't want the front to be wider than the back. So from this 5 inches mark, I'm just going to curve it to give it a shape I want. So there's really no measurement to this shape. This just depends on how big or how small you want your facing to be. So this is what the back facing looks like. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the front facing. I'm going to cut it out just like I did for the front. So the width from the shoulder tip is going to be the same 5 inches as the back, so that when we join the shoulders together, one will not be longer than the other. I hope we understand that. So I'm going to go ahead now and place my fabric and cut out. As you can see, I've done cutting the front facing. The width of the front facing is the same as the back, while the length is longer because our front neckline is deeper, of course. So the next thing I'm going to do is to iron my haystay to this facing. I'm going to be using the black haystay so that it doesn't change the color. So I'm going to iron haystay to the front facing as well as the back. For the front, I'm going to iron twice. I'm going to laminate it twice so that it's thick and to make the neckline more firm. For the back, I just went ahead to do just once, and you can see I also went ahead to weave the edges of the facing. So the next thing now I'm going to do is to place the facing on the neckline. That's right side of the facing the right side of the fabric. And I'll take this to my sewing machine and stitch the neckline. I'll repeat the same thing for the back, and then I'll show us the next thing to do. As you can see, I'm done stitching the front neckline, and this is what it looks like. I went ahead to notch all the curved points so that I can press it down, and this is how relaxed it looks. I repeated the same thing for the back, you can see, and this is it. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to join the shoulders of both the front and back together. So I'm going to place them right side facing right side so that we can join them together. But before we continue, I went ahead to cut out the down part of the lace, and then I used the other side, the side we cut out when we were cutting the side of the kaftan, the scallop part of the lace. So I went ahead to attach it at the down part. This is so that I can have the scallop part at the sleeve area and also have it at the hem. So that's just what I thought to share with us, because I didn't want the lace to just be folded. I wanted the scallop part to end it. So I had to reduce the length to be able to add the scallop part of the lace. That's that. So next I'm going to join the shoulders of both front and back. So this is what I'm doing. Just watch this carefully. You can see right side of the lace is facing the right side, and then with the facing. So I'm going to hold the lace, the both front and back together. That's hold three of them plus facing. And then I'll flip the facing of the back to face the facing of the front. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. So you can see that lace is on the other side. So the facing now is coming to this side so that it can face the facing of the front. And then I'll take them to my sewing machine and stitch all four of them together. And then I'll come back and show us what we have. After joining the front and back shoulders together, then you see this is what our neckline looks like. And you see the built up neckline. You see how beautiful it's already coming out. So now the next thing we're going to do now is to create the pleats that we'll have on the shoulder. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place my tape from the neck width. Remember, we used the neck width of 2.5 inches. So I'm placing my tape on minus 2.5 inches. And then I'll mark half of the shoulder measurement of my client. That's on this side. I'm placing my tape from the neck width, which is minus 2.5. And then I'm marking half of her shoulder measurement. This is so that the pleat can sit exactly at the shoulder tip. So here I'm marking my 8.5, which is half of our shoulder measurement. So from this 8.5, I'm going to go ahead and mark that 8 inches we added that I said we're going to use to create our pleats. So from this 8.5, I'm going ahead to mark 8 inches. So having marked 8 inches, I'm going to get the midpoint of the 8 inches. So to get the midpoint of 8 inches, of course, that is 4 inches. So here is our 4 inches. So I'm going to fold this into two. I'm just going to open up the lace like this. You see? So, and then at that point where I have my 4 inches, that's the part I will hold. Can you see what I'm doing? So that the 8 inches I have under and the 8.5 inches, which is at the actual shoulder measurement, will meet each other. So you can see how I'm holding the 4 inches here. So by holding it there, the other 8 inches will go and meet the 8.5 inches. And then I'm going to stitch on that line. Can you see? So that means I've created my 4 inches pleat. But before we do that, I'm going to press it, because if you don't press this, it will not come out well. So you want to make sure that you lay it really well on the table and press it. So I'm going to press it to achieve that 4 inches pleat, and then I'm going to draw a straight line. I'm going to draw a straight line to indicate where I'm going to be stitching on. Right now, I'm done pressing my 4 inches and I've also gone ahead to draw the straight line. So this straight line is exactly where the shoulder measurement and that's the 8.5 inches I marked. So you can see I drew a straight line all the way down to the hem and then to the other side too of the back. So it's on both sides, front and back, okay? So now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and stitch on that straight line that I have drawn. I'm going to stitch on it. It is nice. It is better to start from one side, that's from the shoulder downwards, and then from the shoulder downwards to the back. So it is better to do it that way. Don't start from the hem. If you start from the hem, it's likely to shift. So I will advise that you start from the shoulder down this way, that's down to the hem of the back, and then from the shoulder down to the hem of the front. I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the other side, which is what I have done. So you can see I've stitched my pleats on both sides, and this is what we have. Can you see what it looks like all the way down to the hem? So you can see how our pleat is overlaying on top of the sleeve. So can you see what it looks like? So it's really coming out beautiful. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to bead the neckline before we go ahead and close up the sides on the 1/2 inch seam allowance I added. So from the depth of the neckline here, I'm going to go up by 2.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 2.5 inches on this side, placing my tape from the depth of the neckline here. So I'll mark 2.5 inches on both sides. This is how the length, this is how much I want to bead, okay? So I'm just going to repeat the same thing here, and then I'll bring in my needle and thread and my beads and show us how to bead this neckline. Like I said, that this is optional. If you're not going to bead it, please don't make your neckline too deep, except if that's what you want, okay? I'll be using these crystal beads to bead the neckline, and I also have my needle and thread. I've threaded my needle and I made sure to knot the thread at the other end. So I'll go ahead and open up the Bubu, just going to open it up and now insert my needle from the seam allowance. Remember, I'm using a lace fabric, so you don't want to insert your needle at the point where you have the lace. So I'm going to insert it under the seam allowance. Watch what I'm doing so you can see the seam allowance. That's where I'm inserting my needle from. So you want to start at the very base, at the sharpest point or the deepest point of our V neckline. So you can see I've brought out my needle from the back side, and then I'm going to count my beads. You want to make sure that the bead fits into the space that you have there. So I'm just going to count my beads inwards like this. That's insert it, pass my needle through the beads. That's just what I'm trying to say, okay? So I'm just going to do that like this, and then once it's enough to fit into the space I have there, then I'll go ahead and insert the needle now from the right side. The other side, when I was doing the other side, I came from the wrong side of the boo. So now you can see now I'm inserting from the right side. So I'm going to insert from this side here. You want to carefully open it up and still make sure that it comes out from the side, that's from the seam allowance. You don't want it to come out from the lace part, okay? So I'll just carefully insert it like this, and then make sure that it comes out from the seam allowance, that's under the seam allowance, so you can neatly hide it well. You see, so you can see how my thread came out from the back of the seam allowance. So just want to pull it well. You don't want to drag it too much. If you drag too much, it may look strange. You want it to look relaxed. As much as you want it to be tight, you still want it to be relaxed. So just do this carefully. So you can see how I'm making it fit into the space I have there on the neckline. Then I'll hold it tight like this before I'll go ahead and begin to knot it so that it can be firm there, because once you release it, it's going to slack in front. So just watch carefully what I'm doing. You can see I'm holding it firmly, and then I'm going ahead to knot my thread. Can you see? So once I've knotted the first one, I can now release it so that it can relax. So that's just how to do it. So I'm going to do this till I get to the end of my 2 inches. So you want to just make sure that you tie it really well. Even this two tying, that if you knot it twice, it's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead now and cut out my thread and repeat the same process till I get to the 2 inches mark I marked on both sides. And then I'll go ahead and shape the sides on my half inch. And while I'm chipping on the side of my half inch, I'm going to stop 12 inches away from the hem, because this gown or this bubu is going to have slits on both sides. So I'll stop 12 inches away from the hem of the gown. Then I'll come back and show us the final outcome of this lovely bubu. Okay, I'm done stitching the sides of our boo-boo, and we're done with this boo-boo. Can you see how beautiful the final outcome of our Agbada kaftan is, giving that rich auntie vibes? Everything came out so beautiful. The neckline, the built-up neckline, the beads, the pleats on the shoulder, everything just came out so beautiful. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something from this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to put on your notification bell so you get notified once I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.